Improve it. Improve it.
Podcast.
Improve it, peeps. Welcome to today's show. If you're hearing your girl feel a little verklempt, it is real. I just finished recording this episode with Jamie Rains, and I always record my intro and outro after I record the interview, just to give you full context behind the scenes here. And I just sat here after this episode and this interview with Jamie and had a few tears, not going to lie to you, because Jamie is such an amazing human being. The work he is doing for the trans community is transformative. It is beautiful. It's courageous. It is bold. And the world just needs so many more Jamie Rains. The world needs so many more Jamie Rains. And I'm going to tell you about his bio. We're talking this month all about mental health awareness. And so because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, we're talking all about mindfulness. And mindfulness can mean many things to many different people. And the actual definition of this, just in case you asked, but you didn't, but I'm going to give it to you. It's mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. And one of my biggest passions as a human here on this earth when it comes to mindfulness is making sure that all are minded, that all are aware of one another, that we see each other's differences, we honor and respect them, and we make space for all to feel comfortable. And when I found out today that I get the honor and the privilege to, if you've never met Jamie Rains, to introduce you to Jamie Rains, I felt like the luckiest person. Now, if you don't know Jamie is the internet. Okay, Jamie Rains is the internet, but Jamie is a 29-year-old trans man from the UK, known as Jamie Dodger online. Jamie's a content creator and LGBT plus advocate with an online following of more than 1 million people. 1 million. He also has a PhD in psychology, focusing on transgender development and well-being. And I got to tell you, he is an inspiration for many, including myself. I am sitting here just with a deep feeling of love. Like I truly felt nothing but love from Jamie in our conversation, and I feel really blessed to be able to share that conversation with you. Because it is my hope that from this show, one person changes their mind and becomes a more open-minded human to the trans community. Or maybe you click play on the show today because you want a workplace where allyship exists and everyone feels comfortable. Or maybe you click play because you want to make sure your workplace is inclusive of the transgender community. Or maybe you click play because you care about the world around you and making it a better place for all. Or maybe you're curious how to do that. And I really have to say that this conversation will help you be more mindful, conscious, and aware of allyship at work. But it's so much more than that. And I have to tell you, in my conversation with Jamie, it is not super linear. I jumped around everywhere because I was just so excited to be talking to this brilliant human being who is opening up his life story to others so others can feel less alone. So we talk about work, we talk about allyship, we talk about his author journey, we talk about his book, The T in LGBT, and we just have a really honest and raw conversation. So just know we've put it all in this show. It's not going to be super linear, but it's going to be jam-packed, and it is nothing but a conversation of love. So my wonderful Improve It peeps, let's get to improving it with the one, the only, the incredible Jamie Rains. Jamie
Hello.
Welcome to the Improve It podcast.
Thanks for having me. I feel like that's such a build-up. I hope I don't disappoint.
I honestly have been waiting for this conversation. And honestly, I was just telling you this before we hit record. I could just talk to you all day because I love you. You have like a calming presence. It feels
Thank you.
lovely to chat with you. So thank you for calming me. And thanks for being here. And so speaking of calm, our theme for the month of May, when this is airing, is mindfulness. And it's Mental Health Month this month. And I always love to set an intention at the top of the show that either you want to give to yourself or to our audience. It could be, and I love to make it one word if you could. So what's a one word intention that you want to set for our conversation?
Oh, embracement? Is that even a word?
Yes.
Does that make sense? Like embracing things?
Yeah, I kind of want to tattoo that on my wrist. Embracement. Yes. Okay, I'm here for that.
Okay.
And what would you, when you think of mindfulness, what does mindfulness mean to you?
Oh. I think a lot of what it means to me is like grounding myself and like being present and not kind of getting lost in the details, which I can do quite a lot, and I can lose track of like the bigger picture. So it's about just like stepping back, embracing things, and just grounding myself.
Embracement. I love it. Okay, can I ask you just a follow-up question on that? What are some ways that you ground yourself? I love that word too, grounding. How do you ground yourself?
So I have quite a lot of anxiety. So I often like ground myself in like public spaces by kind of like holding my partner's hand if we're together, which is most of the time. Just like thinking about what I can see, what I can smell, like feeling my feet on the ground and just being present in the space I'm in and not just stuck in my head.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. I have to take my bracelet off for this because it clankles, but I have a bracelet that says "Be here now."
Cool.
And yeah, I do very similar things because I have anxiety as well. I think all people do, but mine's, and I feel like, various levels of extremeness. But when I was having a lot of panic attacks, grounding was like the most important thing for me. And I even do this podcast barefoot because I just want to be that grounded. So I love that. And I want to ask you too, is there anything other than grounding that you do to celebrate mindfulness or to get anything that helps you get yourself in the right headspace that you could share?
Like, I think music, I think that can really set the tone. So even like when I edit things, I'm constantly listening to music to just kind of have that background noise. And like, if I want to get excited about something, it's like kind of the ear equivalent of like the power poses.
Yes.
It's like, I prefer to listen to music to be like, okay, let's have the hype playlist or let's do something more calming.
Yes. Have you ever listened to the EDMR, like bilateral music on Spotify?
No.
Okay, I had a concussion a while ago. Not about
sorry.
me. But yep. But it's a wave. It's like brain waves, and it sounds like spa music. But that always just puts me in a zone. And I want to ask too. You say editing. Are you editing your videos? You do edit all your own content?
I used to, but we have had an editor for like the last year just to help with that bit. But I still dip my toe in with like shorts and taking on occasional edits just to keep it fresh. Your
content is so good. It's so good. So I'm going to make sure, we give space for everybody to come follow you if they have not at the end. We will get to that. But I want to talk to you about your book because you have launched a book in the UK in June of 2023, and it is launching in the US on May 7th.
Yes.
And people can pre-order it now, right? We can pre-order the book?
Yes. It's available to pre-order right now.
Amazing. Okay. And it's called The T in LGBT.
Yes.
Obviously, I've read about this, but I want to hear from you. What was the inspiration behind this? Why now? Why this book?
So I felt like I'm quite far into my own transition. I would consider my transition like quote unquote done for me personally. And I just felt like I loved the idea of putting my video content and like the advice stuff in one place in a book, in the kind of book that I wanted 12, 13 years ago when I was starting out. And so the book is like, it's half memoir of my own journey throughout the different chapters and stages of transition, and then part self-help guide with loads of other trans voices in there as well, because my voice isn't the kind of like be all and end all of trans advice and trans voices. There's so many different journeys, and no one journey is the same. So I wanted a book that reflected the diversity within the community and offered people like just hopefully like help and support to show you're not alone, and this is how things can go.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And that is such an important thing to say, because you've created so much content online. You have so much content, and
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, but I mean, it's awesome. But you never know. Like, those apps could go away tomorrow. I think about that too. Like, I have a private album for my son, and it's just, that's like his scrapbook. I'm like, well, will this even exist in 20 years? You know? Yeah. And what a smart decision to put everything that you've worked so hard for in one place, which is the blessing and the curse of a book. Like, you can't edit it after it's out.
I know, it's done.
But it's so cool that you've given this gift to the world. What are you the most proud of in writing it? What are you most proud of?
I think getting the perspectives of other trans people. Like, I'm really proud that we were able to, so my wife helped a lot with the book, with the structure, and she wrote sections for allies as an ally herself. So I'm really proud that we were able to get all those perspectives in and hopefully create a book that everyone feels welcome to read. That was super important to me.
Love that. It's in my I'm pre-ordered. Okay. She is pre-ordered. So let me ask you this too. And I'm always just curious. What was the writing process like? How did you do it? What was your process?
So I've always wanted to write a book. I used to write stories and things when I was a kid, and it was like a big like life goal for me. So when the opportunity came up, I was really excited about it. And I found it a lot harder than I thought I would. I expected it to be tough and like long and certain elements of it to be difficult to write about, like gender dysphoria and just getting all the facts right. But it overall was a process that was a lot trickier than I initially thought. And just, I felt a lot of responsibility to get the information correct and share it in a way that was digestible and understandable to anybody that might read the book, but then still helpful for people that knew some of it already. So I felt like this real balancing act of like, how deep do I go? And like, how much information about this specific thing? And it was just really finding that sweet spot that I still don't know if I found it. I hope I did. It was my intention to. But just finding this balance between my story, other people's story, and the factual advice information. And it was a process. I definitely needed the support of my wife with it to get it done.
Totally. It is no easy feat. And the fact that you've created it, it's launching in the US, you've had it in the UK since June. What's some of the reception you've heard from people that have read it?
I think some of the cutest messages I've received is people saying that they bought it for their parents who were like parents who are like not accepting, but just really unsure and a bit worried for their children. And so I think a book is something that is a much more accessible resource for like parent generations of people who've got like 20-something-year-old kids. And I was getting messages from people going, it really helped my parents understand what I was going through. And they've just been so much more like openly supportive and like using the correct language and like asking them questions about what they're going to do. And that was the most important feedback, because it felt like it was making like a real world difference, which feels very big-headed to say, but it meant a lot.
It is not big-headed to say. It is important. You are a thought leader. You are helping generations understand things that I think handing a physical book, I actually really visualized that when you said that, like handing a parent this book that they can have at their nightside table that they can highlight and come back to.
Yeah.
That's cool. That is so cool.
No, it was really
so proud.
Thank you. It was cute messages to receive. And I've also had it the other way of parents gifting it to their trans kids as a way to show, like, I support you. I thought you might find this useful. And I was like, I was like, I'm crying right now. That's going to make me tear up. But yeah, it's been a really heartwarming reception to it.
Jamie! Okay, well, my fake lashes are falling off. Okay,
Sorry.
This is awesome. And this is why you're here, because I also want to talk, as you know, this show is a ton of people leaders, people who love people who are leaders of teams, homes, organizations, communities, and they love people. And I want to ask you, how do you think that this book will help them understand transgender identity, especially in the workplace? Because I own a small business, right? But I work with corporate America, and I know a lot of people listening either work in a small business or in corporate America. How can this book be a book club? How can we bring this to the workplace?
I mean, a big goal with it was to humanize the trans experience. So just like anybody picking it up would then have the ability to see trans people as the individual people that we are, rather than this group that some people develop a fear over or a misunderstanding of, but just, trans people are real people living their lives. And this is our experience and our journeys. And I think as soon as people are open to hearing that information and seeing trans people as just, another way of being human, that's what trans is, it kind of bleeds into every part of life. And it's opening up that conversation and opening up people's minds to just be like, treat this person with respect, and here's some information about what they may have experienced. So I hope it can do that kind of thing for people.
I do too. And I'm going to recommend it to a lot of leaders when we get it here on May 7th. But I think that it's such a topic right now. The DEI space, especially in corporate America, wants to be inclusive. And I know there's still so many roadblocks and challenges that we have to overcome. If you had any tangible, actionable item that you could say to a leader right now to make sure that the trans community felt safe and psychological safety at work, what would be one tangible thing they could do right now?
Honestly, I'd say listen to the community. Like, if you're unsure of what to do, speak to trans people. Like, bring trans people in as consultants, and learn how to approach trans people in the workplace, trans people generally, and just listen to the community itself, because that way you'll learn everything you need to know. Yes.
And follow Jamie online because your content is just so good. And I know that the book touches on the importance of allyship at work and at all in life, but how can coworkers and managers become better allies? Is there anything tangible from the book that you can share with us that would talk about allyship in that regard?
Yeah, I'd say, like, don't be afraid to have conversations and just be open. If you have a trans colleague, it would be a very welcome thing by a majority of trans people to say, what pronouns should I use? And just showing that kind of simple sign of that you're there and you are willing to respect that person's identity and do these little things to make them feel more comfortable, that will mean the world to that trans person in the workplace. The most common thing I hear about trans people struggling in their jobs is not being respected by other people in the company, by, not being able to change their name at work, still being made to wear a uniform that is for a different gender, not being pronounced correctly by their colleagues and managers. And it's those kind of stories that are really difficult to hear. And it's something that's just so simple. If somebody comes out as transgender and you're not sure what to do, you can either go home and look it up in your own time or speak to somebody else that you think might know, or you can see if that trans person who's come out is open to have a conversation. And a lot of trans people will be, because the concept of allies wanting to listen and have those conversations feels quite novel still as a trans person. So I think it would be very welcome. It's something I would welcome. And I think it can break down those barriers and be like, this is just a person who I work with, and this is how I can respect them as they're respecting me.
Yeah. Isn't it silly to think that you have so much bravery in you? You have so much heart and love in you. And it's so novel to me that people don't see you and put you on this pedestal as this courageous human being. And people do. I mean, you got a community, right? But like, as someone who is sitting in this space as a leader of a team, like, I feel responsibility to make sure everybody feels like they're coming to work, they're seen, they're heard, they're valued. And I think, what are some ways, and this is a question I want to ask. So if a leader is listening and they have a person who might be transitioning or might not feel comfortable, what are some signals that you can see as a leader when somebody is feeling unpsychologically safe? That's the right word I'm looking for. What are some things that you can notice as a leader?
It's a really good question. It's a difficult one, because I think it will vary depending on the individual and how open they're willing to be and ready they're willing to be able to talk about things. If you suspect something is going on and somebody's not said anything, it can be very difficult to know if you should approach them about it, because maybe they're not ready to talk about it. But I guess it's just letting kind of the whole team know, including the person that you maybe have concerns over, that you are available to talk and have those conversations and be the kind of open, accepting boss, manager, whatever position you're in, that you are there for everybody in the team. And then if you know specifically there is something going on, I think that maybe hopefully that person might then come and feel more ready to speak about it. And it can be tricky though, because if someone's not ready to talk about it, even if you're like, I know what's going on and I want to help you, it's so hard. I think it's something that definitely needs to be led by the person who maybe is struggling. But I always think generalizing it a bit and being like, hey, if anybody, we have these workshops or these drop-in sessions, or I'm always available in this way to contact me, email or whatever. It just means that they know that you're there for when or if they ever need you.
Love it. And I'm sure you have case studies in the book about this. You've talked, does the book, when you mentioned you had other trans people from the trans community tell their story, I'm sure people can find themselves in each story and understand how they could help other people. And I love that you have this compilation. What are you the most excited about with the book in the US? Like, what are you hoping for? What's the goal? Tell me all the things.
Oh, I have like a majority audience in the US, which was quite unusual. So like, I'm really excited that it's finally going to be over there as well, and then kind of reach a bigger portion of my audience than it did in the UK, and just kind of hearing that feedback from it and hoping that it can help in the same way. And I hope that a lot of the information is still very relevant, because there's obviously some stuff that is quite specific to the UK, such as certain like NHS, like medical routes and legal things that you can do in the UK that differ in the States. But I still hope that as a whole, like, there's still a lot of relatability in the book of the stories and the human experiences. I think that's going to be kind of just, I don't know. I lost my train of thought with that one.
No, you're good. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Are you doing a book tour? Where can people find you? Are you doing any shows? Tell us about that.
So actually, my wife and I will be doing a book tour. We're doing it together. So it's kind of like trans perspective and the cis perspective. And we're going to be in the States for quite a lot of June this year. And so there'll be more details to follow very soon. Probably details out by the time this airs. But like right now, it's kind of just, we're still working out the details about exactly where we're going to be. But yeah, we will be there and talking about the book. So I'm very excited about that.
this is so exciting. And this was your first book, right? First book?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a book too? Like what's your do you have anything in your mind? Isn't this like the most annoying question? And I know I just launched a book, but do you hope to aspire to write more? Or do you have more things you want to say?
Oh, I'd absolutely love to write more. I'd love to go in the direction of fiction, like young adult fiction with passive representation of trans people, because it's something that we don't see. It's like there's either a complete lack of trans and LGBT plus characters in general, or their presence in a storyline is all about their identity. So I want to create stories where people feel seen and see themselves, but there's so much more to these characters than their identity. So that's the aim. And then I'd love to write a full-on memoir at some point in the future, but I'd quite like that to be when I'm older, like after I've had kids, and write about that experience, because I've not heard anything much about trans men becoming fathers. There's not a huge amount out there. So I'd really love to do something from that perspective as well.
That is so exciting. And I would read all of those things. And I know everybody listening would read all of those things. I'm just impressed by all of the vulnerability you have online and just how you show up. Did you think that this would be your path? Like, did you think you would be sitting here with like millions of followers and having this best-selling book and coming to the U.S.? Like, what led you to hit record on the first video? I'm curious about that.
I mean, if you told me this is where I would be like 12 years ago, I'd have been like, no, never. This is not where I thought. I'm very happy things have ended up here, but it's not where I saw my life going. I hit record. I remember filming the first video. I was really into photography, so I had like a nice camera, and I was like, I think I want to document my transition journey. And this was just after I'd come out and before I'd started hormones. Like, I don't think I'd even legally changed my name at this point. And YouTube and online resources had been such a great comfort and help for me. But back, 12 years ago, there were 2 trans men sharing their stories on YouTube that I could find. Both of them were in America. So I was like, I want to give a UK perspective. And so I hit record and I was like, hello, it's my intro video. It's very awkward. I can't watch too much of it now. It's very embarrassing. And it just grew from there. It started as a way to document my transition, my changes. And I would make a video with like 1 month on T, 2 months on T, just had top surgery, that kind of vibe. And then it just grew into more like advice videos and then breaking down transphobia. And now what it is today, which is the aim is education through entertainment, where people enjoy watching the videos, hopefully, and find them fun to watch. But there's also an educational element there. You're learning, but you're not quite sure you are. It's like, okay, this is fun. But, there's also useful information in there.
You know what we call that over here? Edutainment.
Oh, I love it. Now I have a single word to describe. That's brilliant. I really appreciate that information.
Edutainment. So that's what I say about Improve It, our business, because we educate and we entertain through improv. And
love it.
Take it, yours. You can
Thank
use
you.
it. Okay, just like give me a little, no, I'm just kidding. Just use it, take it. You are such a wonderful human, paving the way for so many people. And I want to just take it. I went away from the workplace, but I want to help people in the workplace. I'm just fascinated by you as a human. What can leaders do to ensure that not only are they creating an inclusive space, but they're hiring people, they're hiring the trans community, they're retaining the trans community? Is there anything that you can think of that will help a leader listening today bring the trans community into their workplace?
I think it's being an openly open place to work. I've seen, there's places in the UK that people know if they're trans. There's policies in place to protect them beyond just the kind of basic level of the law of protection. There's testimonials from other LGBT plus people who've worked there. And it sounds silly because I'm not saying kind of slap a pride flag on things and it'll be okay, but like having symbols within your company that indicates to people that you are open, because going into the workplace as a trans person can be incredibly scary. Like I had a job during my university degree, and they were lovely, but they didn't know what to do. And I was quite scared. I had to give them like this documentation, which at the time didn't match up and outed me as trans. And I had to explain it. And they came back through and they had no idea. So I think it's like being aware that sometimes that can happen and knowing how to handle that and having a streamlined process for trans people coming into the organization and working for you right from application and making it welcoming and kind of knowing the best you can what kind of language to use, because they came back through and I explained it and then they both were like, oh, you could have fooled us. And I was like, I feel like they were trying to be nice, but it just wasn't quite the right language to use. And so it's just making sure that you don't need to know everything in the world. It's just having that basic level of language and understanding and openness to make trans people aware right from when they apply for a position through to working in that company that they are welcome and accepted in their place of work, because it makes such a difference. And that's for the wider LGBT plus community as well.
I love that. I absolutely applaud that. And I think processes are so important, and creating them now, like not tomorrow, creating them now.
Yeah, have it in place before you have a openly trans person, because you could already have a trans person working for you and just be completely unaware. But having those in place before it feels like it's a necessity would be an amazing step. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just share a thought I have for you, and especially in the US, that I think would just crush here with your book?
Sure.
I think a book club for corporate America with your book. For real. Like, you could host them. I'm doing this with my book, and I work in corporate. So I think that so many companies, especially like ERG groups, employee resource groups, would love this topic. And especially even if you just had a guided facilitation from it that people could just have one of their internal team members use as a guide. Or if Jamie Rains was to facilitate it, can you imagine? Just food for thought. I'm just putting it out there for you. I think it would crush.
No, I have actually done a couple like book club style events with corporations in the UK, like just literally going and speaking to employees about the book. And although it's not like, it's not a book about like how to be respectful of trans people in the workplace, it's just that passive education as well. It's just learning generally about trans people and trans experiences will help across all different parts of the world, including in the workplace. So I have done that in the UK. So I'm very open to it.
Okay, everybody listen up. Jamie Rains, we'll put your contact info, we'll put your agent's contact info in the notes, and you can reach out and make that happen. I think that would be awesome. Are you doing any speaking? Are you doing any keynotes or any talks like that about the book?
Not currently, no. The book tour is going to be like a kind of Q&A just for people who come to like bookstores and stuff. So there's nothing beyond that currently planned.
Okay, Jamie, when you're ready for that, let's talk. Okay, I got you for real. Because this is such a brilliant book, such a brilliant topic. You are so vulnerable, raw, with also edutainment value, okay, in everything you do. What if you could just blanket statement, what is the one thing? This is a hard question, but I'm going to ask it.
Oh, no.
What is the one thing that you hope people take away from the T in LGBT?
Oh, one thing. Okay.
There's so many things, but if it could be a feeling. What's the one feeling you want them to feel?
Openness. Like, you don't need to understand, but just an openness to hear and take in the information and use that going forward. Even if you don't understand everything, even if you don't fully get it, even if you're not fully comfortable with it, just to be open to listening more and just treating trans people like anybody else and with respect. That's so, yes, in short, open-mindedness and openness, that would be lovely. Yeah.
I love it. And embracement. We're going to embracement.
Yeah.
We're going to embracement it. I love this so much. Can I have a fun last set of interview. It's called the interview rapid fire round. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This is going to be fun. This is just fun and silly. Okay.
Okay.
So 1-word answers, and I'm going to interview you in under 1 minute. Okay.
I've got to do my
Can
best.
we do this?
Okay,
Can we do this? Okay.
I'm ready.
Amy, you've got it. These are fun questions just to get to know you a little bit more. Okay. Here we go. I'm looking at the clock. I'm setting in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Best leadership book.
Best
And
leadership.
It could be more than 1 word. It could be more than 1 word.
Best leadership book.
Yes.
A book. I don't know one off the top of my head.
Okay. Best book you've ever read.
Oh. Oh no. And there was an Agatha Christie one that I really loved.
Agatha Christie. Okay. Best TV show.
Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know where that came from. I love it, but
1,000%.
yeah.
1,000%. Best podcast you've ever listened to besides the Improve It podcast.
Oh, there's one called Should I Delete That?
Oh, okay. Favorite song to pump you up before? What's your favorite pump up song like when you're editing or when you're about to be on camera?
Oh, at the moment, Murder on the Dance Floor.
Oh, so good. Okay, song that makes you cry.
Oh, there's a song by Frey, like Save a Life by the Frey.
How to say
Yes, that one.
Okay, dream job of all time.
Author.
Author! Nailed it! And we did it in 1 minute!
Oh,
Yes!
okay. Phew.
Yay! That was amazing. Okay, see, I love that. And Schitt's Creek, when you were talking about, there was something you were talking about earlier, and you made me think, oh, you're the fiction book you want to write. It made me think of Schitt's Creek. It's literally probably my all-time favorite show.
I love it. I love David Best.
Oh my God. And I kind of watched it when it was underground, like it wasn't all the hype. People were just like, have you heard about Schitt's Creek? Before it became insanely popular. And I kept telling everybody about it. And then finally people were like, oh my God, I get it. And I'm obsessed. That entire cast, that entire show, brilliantly written. All of it's amazing. Okay. Last question.
Okay.
We say here at Improve It, your it is your purpose. It's the thing that you are put on this earth to do. What is Jamie Rains's it?
Oh, this is I think this is like the biggest question I've ever been asked.
What's your life's purpose?
What's it like? What does my life mean?
Just a casual Wednesday question.
Yeah. Oh God. I hope to like be an educator in an unusual way, I guess. Like not like a teacher, but and you
have your PhD, right? Like I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes, in psychology, which is so cool.
That's where my life would have gone if like online stuff hadn't happened. That's what I saw, like academia.
So awesome. This is why you're an edutainer, okay? You're an edutainer at its finest, okay? And then where can everybody find you? If they want to learn more, you have to follow Jamie, so that's a must. You have to get the book, so tell us where we can get all the things.
I think the book is available wherever you can buy books. I know it's like pre-order Barnes & Noble and Amazon and everywhere. If you want to find me online, Jamie Rains will find it, or Jamie Dodger, but without an E. It's not spelled like the biscuit, which I don't know if you guys have over in the States, but yeah.
Wait, what's the biscuit?
So a Jammy Dodger is like a sandwich biscuit with jam in the middle, and it's got like a little heart cut out. So it's got like a little red heart on it. And it's
I need to know
my channel name isn't after the biscuit. So,
okay, all right. Yeah. We will put the channel name in there. It's not after the biscuit. Now I'm hungry and I need to Google this biscuit. But it has been such a pleasure to chat with you. Everybody, check out Jamie. And I have to say, I feel like we did a lot of embracement here today. We came full circle, and I'm just so thrilled to know you. And everybody go out and pre-order the T in LGBT or get it. We're airing this episode May 1st. It will be out on May 7th, wherever you buy books. Jamie, thank you.
No, thank you so much. This has been a lovely chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, my Improve It peeps. That conversation is one for the books. Speaking of books, make sure you get Jamie's book or pre-order it. The T in LGBT, you can pre-order it on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, anywhere major retailers live, or you can also shop small, and we'll know where those retailers are. I'm going to make sure I ask Jamie that, because I always love to plug some local indie bookstores as well. That is my homework. That is your homework. Read the book. And then pass that book to someone in your workplace so we can start creating more inclusive, wonderful, safe, psychologically safe spaces for the trans community and for every community. I am so proud of you for clicking play on today's episode. I am so honored that you took this time to sit with myself and Jamie. As always, you know what I'm going to say. Keep failing, keep improving, because this world needs that very special it that only you can bring. I'll see you next time.